listen, welcome to the former Lawn Madison Park renovation on a special day. And I knew it might be a little cold, and the councilman said, well, we got to get it done before it rains, and I know that who were hiring today wouldn't let it rain on us. They would not let it rain on us. So without further ado, let me do this. Let me introduce your councilman, Matthew Zone.
Hey, give it up for Mike Cox, our director, who also happened to know Miriam Ortiz very well. I will tell you, Director, I think I had about 2 hours. Who had less than 3 hours sleep last night? Yeah, right? I had anxiety. I kept looking out the window, said a prayer to Miriam. I'm like, don't make it rain, sister. And look, the sky is blue. God is good. And it's a tremendous day for our community. You know, about 4 years ago, our neighborhood went through a master planning process here in the southwest part of our neighborhood. And the community here really deserves a quality park like this. And I'm thankful that when you go through a deliberative process like that and the community participates in a public planning process which yields a potential investment from the city, and today is the result of a little over $500,000 of investment in a park that the community said we'd love to see it refreshed. So give it up for that little investment. One of the unique things about this, and you'll hear this later on in the program, and why it relates to Miriam, is really people didn't have this park didn't have an identity. That building over there behind everyone in that parking lot, that was the old Lawn Elementary School. That street is Guthrie. That street is Madison. So this park was known as the Lawn because of Lawn School, and Madison, it was known as the Lawn Madison Park. But when the school closed down almost 20 years ago, it really didn't have, this park really didn't have an identity. It was getting long in the tooth. And so after we did that strategic plan, I met with the mayor's capital office and his chief operating officer to see how we could potentially make this investment sooner as opposed to later. So our next speaker is the one who helped me get this through the process. Well, everyone give a warm welcome to our mayor, Frank Jackson.
Good afternoon. And how are you doing? Good, good. Parks, playgrounds, facilities such as this are essential to neighborhoods. They help as the meeting places where people come together. They socialize, their children play, they do things. And so we, in the administration, working with your council, we spend a lot of time attempting to identify where do we put resources, where do we put capital resources. Every year we go through this. And this was a place where Councilman Zone said he wanted some investments made in his ward. And we did it, we worked with him. But the significant part of today is the ribbon cutting and the rededication and renaming, because it's no longer just a park. It's no longer just a playground. It has that community connection, and it has a community connection through Miriam. And Miriam and her family being born and raised and still living in this area of the neighborhood really makes a difference. So this is truly a neighborhood park, and truly invested, and truly an investment not only in this neighborhood, but in the culture and the identity of this neighborhood. So again, thank you, Councilman, for your suggestion, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. So I want to tell you a little bit about this park. I told you about how we arrived here. We started a community planning process. I do want to acknowledge my partner in planning, Jenny Spencer. She's up there. Jenny, give a rave. Jenny's doing video and photos. In a minute, you'll hear from Jeff RAMSEY from Detroit SHOREWAY, but Jenny helped guide that strategic plan and that planning process in the Southwest neighborhood. And when we went through this process, we're kind of confined here. We're in between two residential homes, and that green space there where the trees are planted, that was not part of the park. And we approached a private property owner, and the city of Cleveland purchased that lot so we can expand the park and kids could have green space there. So I want to acknowledge Bill Strangwald, who owned that piece of property and was willing to work with us and sell that property to the city of Cleveland. So everyone give it up for Bill. Miriam was such a not only integral part of this community, but just everything we did to really help and lift up other. And I can't think of a more appropriate time of the year to dedicate a park than Hispanic Heritage Month, huh? Yeah. Would Miriam love that? Yeah. Wepa, huh? A wonderful element to the park is art. And we really wanted to open up the park and have a beautiful artistic feel to it. Although the art hasn't been installed yet, I'm going to invite to the podium in a minute Hallie Morris, who is an accomplished artist. She lives in the neighborhood. We went through a public planning process with community people and residents in our neighborhood, with Miriam's family, and Hallie kind of shared the work that she's done, and so they helped give her some thoughts and suggestions and guided the process. Will everyone please give a warm welcome to our neighborhood resident and public artist, Hallie Morris.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming out. It's kind of chilly. My name is Hallie Morris. I live in the neighborhood on West 85th Street. We're actually working on a new house, moving to another house on West 85th Street, but I feel really extremely grateful to be here, and I'm sorry the public art isn't ready for you yet, but we are working on a first phase to be installed in the next couple months, and then a second phase that I've outlined on a little board over there with pictures that you can come and take a look at and ask questions about by the springtime. But I really feel excited that I got chosen to create a piece that will contribute to the identity of this park. I've loved this park as long as I've lived in the neighborhood and passing by, and it's got these really beautiful big trees, and I really value playgrounds and feel really excited that my first public art project got to be in a playground and to be in a park that's named after a neighborhood resident that people have so many wonderful memories and associations with, and also one of the few parks in the city of Cleveland named after a woman. It's really exciting. I wish I could have known Miriam. I've heard a lot of really amazing stories, and I hope I get to meet some of her friends and family and hear more. And thank you so much, and I will hope to see all you back here when we have another little party to celebrate all the public art being installed, maybe in the springtime. And thanks again for being here and for choosing me.
Thank you, Hallie. And we are in the spring. Once we have all the full installation of the public art, we'll do another ceremonial ribbon cutting for the public art component. But after the ceremony, Hallie will be over here in this corner. Take time to go talk with her, see what artwork is coming in. We're going to be putting this beautiful arch entryway as you come into the park and other art elements throughout the park. So she has images over there, and really love for you to take the time today and go see it. So a little bit about this park. We've added new facilities for focusing on children. When we went through the planning process, people said we really want play equipment for all ages. So we have play facilities for 2 to 5 year olds. It's a swing set and a play structure. Around 5 to 12 year olds loves this swing set and climber. We have multi-purpose areas. As you'll notice, the padding is quite comfortable and soft. So in the event that if somebody falls off of they'll have a nice soft landing. The pedestrian archway will go in there. We've added security lighting. We have a drinking fountain. We also have a dog fountain, so you can bring your dogs here and they can get water as well. Wonderful benches with game boards, and I hope some Puerto Ricans here brought some dominoes, right? Are we going to be playing dominoes later? Oh, okay. And again, as I said, about a $500,000 investment into the space. You know, Miriam has done so much for so many people over the years, and she gave so much time and energy to make our community better. I first met Miriam when I was a young teenager, and you know, as all young teenage boys, right? I was like, man, who's that beautiful older woman? You know, as little boys do, right? Sorry about that, Angel. I know it's your mom. You know, I know, Angel. Your mom was hot, though. But, you know, Miriam quickly grew to be a mentor and role model to me, and I had the fortune of serving 6 years on the Detroit Area Community Development Organization's Board of Trustee, and she rose all the way up at one point to help lead that organization. And just to tell you a little bit about her contribution to that organization and our community, please give a warm welcome to Jeff RAMSEY, Executive Director, Detroit Area Community Development Organization.
Thank you, Matt. Wow, what a beautiful day we have today. The sunshine being with us here and warming our hearts like Miriam kept our hearts warm. I met her about 35 years ago, working on projects to improve the neighborhood and on political campaigns with her lifelong friend, Judge Raymond Pianca, and of course, Karen. Yeah. And Ray shared with me how when they were in grade school, he and Miriam worked together to pass a Cleveland school levy. So even as a young child, Miriam was there and Ray working together to make our neighborhood and our city a great place for all. Miriam joined the Detroit Shoreway Board in 1990 and became our vice chair. And I think if anyone knows Miriam, you know what a kind and compassionate person is, but you also know that she could be a fighter, right? She stood up for what she believed in, and she advocated for it in a kind and loving way, but in a very strong way, too. And she was such a strong advocate for diversity, making sure that everybody had a seat at the table and that everybody was involved in helping to plan the future for this neighborhood. And that's one of the things I'll remember most about her. What I'll also remember is that she was there when anybody needed help. You know, she was there if somebody was homeless and needed a place to live or was hungry. She was there reaching out to try to get them some help. She was a kind and caring person. The last thing I'll share is that Miriam opened a Latino newspaper, which I know Hector VEGA is going to talk more about, El Nuevo Dia, and it was in the Gordon Square Arcade in 1990 after the building had been rehabbed. That same year, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress opened its office right next door to El Nuevo Dia. And Miriam met this guy working at Neighborhood Progress named Rush. And Miriam told me that it was in the parking lot of the Gordon Square Arcade where Daryl asked Miriam on her first date. So, you know, it always helps me as I go to work every day, coming in that building, that it's a magical place. And I'm grateful for that those memories with Miriam and Daryl, and really thrilled that we're here today to celebrate this park. And I want to acknowledge the community planning process that Councilman Zone mentioned, Terry Schwartz and Kristen Zeiber from the Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative, who worked with our neighborhood residents to shape the vision for this park, and to thank Mayor Jackson and Director Cox and Councilman Zone for really helping to come up with the funding to make that possible. And thank you, Mayor, especially for your vision to look at the quality of life for Cleveland neighborhoods and to make this a place where we all want to live and can come together. So thank you, and thanks, enjoy the park.
Thank you, Jeff. You know, it gives me great honor to introduce a lifelong friend and a very accomplished artist, probably one of Northeast Ohio's most accomplished Puerto Rican artists, and a dear friend of Miriam's and my dear friend, Hector VEGA.
Hi, this is beautiful, man. You did a wonderful job. Thank you. And I just didn't expect to be this beautiful. I also admit that I met Miriam. I thought she was hot. I met her before you did.
We both thought she was hot.
But I was walking through the what they call atrium,
The atrium.
and she was in a boardroom, and she looked at me and looked at her. I was like, "Whoa, who's that?" Same thing you said. But other than that, she's beautiful outside, but more beautiful inside. She cared about everybody, no matter what color, creed, religion. She believes in equal rights to the 19th. I mean, she was wonderful. And Miriam was really funny. She had a candid side that I got to know. She called me from Ray Pianca's office one day about 9 a.m. saying, you're going to vote today, right? I said, the director won't let me go. I got to finish the design. So I asked the director. He said, no, you got to finish the design. So I told Miriam. She said, I'll fix that. Miriam knew everybody. So we hung up, and then a half hour later, the director comes in and said, Miriam's waiting for you downstairs. So I run down, she's got 4 other victims in her car. So it made me feel better. So as we walked into the Madstone Recreation Center to vote, she said, okay, this is who you're voting for. So I thought that was cute. So on the way back, to show how influential she was, when we went to Zone Rack, I said, there's no parking. She pulls up and they move a cone away for her. I said, that was cool. So we get back to City Hall and she goes, I'm coming in for lunch. I said, we don't have much time. Matt, do you remember the blind person that was at the register?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know how that person gave change or charged, but they always got it right down to the penny, correct. So she just taking the money real impersonal, but she knew her stuff, gave you the right change. Didn't talk to anybody. I was just telling Miriam, everybody knows you. She said, no, they don't. So I pay and go sit down, and the blind person goes, hi, Miriam. So it was quite a day. But like I said, I met Letty, Daryl, Angel, Irving, the whole family. And when I was a young person, I knew I always wanted to be an artist, but I doubted myself, being Latino in Cleveland. Not too many role models that say, hey, I can do that. And one of my goals for my successes in travels is I always look back, come back to Cleveland and see that I've inspired younger artists to believe they can do it. Because I'm living the life thanks to people like her, role models like Ray and Daryl and Matt, who's done just a wonderful job in the mayor's office. Thank you, Mayor. And Holly, an artist. Never meant to be perfect. Thank you for doing the beautiful sculpture. I look forward to seeing it. That's about it. So, Matt, I met her before you did.
Hey, you did.
Thank you.
Well, I can remember when I just became of age, and Papo Semide and Hector and me, we used to hit all the clubs, right? back in the day. You know, Hector talked, and Jeff Ramsey said a little bit about our late, great local leader, Judge Ray Pianca, who was a councilman in this neighborhood, and we're pleased to have his wife with us, Karen, and Kirsten, his daughter. Thank you for being here. I will tell you, the housing court in the Detroit Shorey neighborhood in Ward 15 is very special. I want to acknowledge Judge Ron O'Leary, and I see a bunch of people from the housing court. If housing court people could raise your hands. Thank you all for being here, housing court. Judge O'Leary, I know you have big shoes to fill, but you know, we are partial to Judge Pianca and love him, but I appreciate you being here, and the presence of your court is felt and known. So, okay, thank you. You know, we're going to have just a couple more speakers and then a special presentation. But at this point, will everyone give a warm welcome. And as I introduce our next speaker, I would ask the siblings of Miriam and the children of Miriam to make your way up onto the stage. Will everyone give a warm welcome to Letty Maldonado, the daughter of Miriam Ortiz-Rush.
I got a squad. Hello, everybody, and thank you all for being here to celebrate this beautiful event. On behalf of myself, my brothers, my family, I would like to thank Mayor Frank Jackson, Councilman Mac Zone, the Cleveland City Council members, Detroit SHOREWAY, the Quadruple J's, Jenny, Jeff, Joshua, and Jasmine for making this happen right in 2-week process, and making this park possible for the community. When Matt called me, of course, I bust into tears, and I just was like, oh my God, what a beautiful honor. Like, I know my mom in a different way than everybody else, but you know, you always hear, oh, your mom was a fighter, your mom was this, your mom was that. And so when he called me, I was just honored. But then he made it a reality, and he called, he said it happened, the proclamation went through, and I'm like, just overjoyed. So anyway, my mother was a humble person. I know she's smiling down, and before I got on here, my Uncle Gilbert was like, even dead, she could bring a party together. So I want you to know she loved the good party, and she loved her family. And I look here, and I see family. I don't see friends. I don't see politicians. I see family, because that's who she was. You met her, that was it. A young man came up to me, Eric, and he said, I moved to Cleveland, started working for Housing Court, and your mom said, oh, you could come live with me and Daryl. That's who she was. So, I mean, those are just a little bit of tidbit. I'm going to stay on script, but for those that didn't know her so well, she was a woman who took pride in her community, her culture, and mostly her family. My mother grew up on West 61st Street. Her parents, 9 siblings, my 98-year-old grandmother who's here today. My mother was a 5'3", feisty Latina that broke barriers despite odds. Seriously, she started a protest at the age of 17. The city refused to pick up the trash of the Latino residents, so she got all them to throw their garbage in the middle of the street from West 25th to West 65th. The city picked up the garbage. When the former mayor, Michael White, the once mayor of the city of Cleveland, Michael White, at the Puerto Rican Friendly Day Parade, she called him out on his hiring practices of Latinos. He made a promise, you're gonna hire more Latinos, and he didn't. And she called him out on stage, in front of everybody. So, nonetheless, we hired some Latinos in the city. Like Hector said, when she wanted something done, she made it happen. But she was humble with it. You know, you never seen her in the limelight. She was behind the scenes, making things happen. And I think that's what I admire about her the most. My mother had a voice, and she created a platform for those without one. She was the person who always wanted to help others. She was the person who never had a locked door. My mother loved people, and that's why she made a great deal of pride in her community. While her work speaks for itself, her love for her family was the motivator. She loved her family dearly. Family was everything to her, and it's what makes this park even more special. Her siblings here, Ray, Hilda, Florence, Marie, Mary Lou, Uncle William, Gilbert, Carlos, who am I missing? Stevie Sandy, her grandchildren. It was all about family to her. Knowing this park is being named in her honor is right down the street from where my grandmother grew up and from our family. Bringing community members together, bringing community members together is more than any of us could dream of. Being able to pass by here every day and hearing my daughter say, that's my grandmother's park, you know, just that warmth, it's the best feeling. And I want to thank everybody who believed in her, who knew her, supported her, And thank you, Matt, for making it happen. I really appreciate it. We all do. We look forward to seeing you guys and more events in this park. The art is going to be beautiful, and it's really about community, and we have to make it happen. So thank you all again.
Go down and stand behind the ribbon.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to have all the family members please go down and stand behind. So we have a couple special surprises. So for those who are wondering who's sitting down front and center, that's Juanita Ortiz. 98 years young and the mother of Miriam. So we have, at this point, first of all, the park wouldn't have happened without the appropriation from City Council, and I want to acknowledge, and my colleague, Council President Kevin Kelly, has some accommodations that we are going to pass out. We'll try to go through them quickly, so just have patience with us. Everyone give a warm welcome to Council President Kevin Kelly.
Thank you, Councilman Zone. Thanks for all the work you did here, and I want to thank the mayor as well. And if you look at this beautiful park, these things don't just happen. There's a lot of work, and you know this is a Matt Zone park with that dog feature. That's the first I've ever heard of that. It had to be a Matt Zone thing. But I just want to say real quick to the family that you know the mayor's capital budget includes a lot of parks, but this one's different. This one's special. We don't often name them for somebody like Miriam, and it's appropriate that it's at a park because parks are where people come together. That's where relationships are formed. That's where people come to enjoy each other's company. And Miriam represented that. I didn't know Miriam as long as many here, but I knew her well enough to know that she was a special person and that this park is really representative of all that she brought to the city, everything that she gave to us. I hope that we can give back to the family by this memory of her, that this will be a lasting memory of all the great things that she did for the city and the wonderful presence she had here. So thanks to the family for letting us have Miriam, and hopefully it's a beautiful tribute to your family. So thank you. Yes. Okay, so with that, we have a lot of recognitions we want to pass out because it's just such a fantastic event. I want to begin with our public artist, Haley Morris. Thank you so much. Okay.
So this is for the mother of Miriam.
Okay, this is a very special one. This is for the mother of Miriam, Juanita Ortiz. I don't know how can we pass this forward? Okay, thank you.
Maybe what we do instead of reading them all, why don't you get to present them all to the entire family? Because I don't know if you can go through one.
A fine suggestion by your fine councilman. In the interest of time and efficiency, we'll get all these to all of you, but let's get to cutting the ribbon. So thank you.
Stay with me for a minute. We do have a special surprise, and so at this point, I'm going to ask all of you to join with me in singing Happy Birthday to Juanita Ortiz. We have a little cake for her. It's her 98th birthday. Ready? One. We're going to try to light it. Just believe that the candles are lit. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Juanita. Happy birthday to you. All right. So I'd ask all the speakers if you would go down and mix and mingle with the Maldonado Ortiz family. We're going to cut the ribbon. And I do want to say this. It was mentioned by Letty earlier. We do have other parks in the city of Cleveland named after women. This is the first park in the city of Cleveland named after a Latina. A pretty badass Latina, I might say myself. Excuse my French. So my staff's passing out the scissors. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
What are you guys playing?